Welcome back to the Gaming Tailgate Podcast. I am CDJ, joined by Tommy. Tommy, we're getting oh so close. It doesn't quite feel like summer yet. We're not refreshing pages looking for E3 info like the good old
We're
days.
not.
Instead, we're waiting for, well, we could be. You're wasting your time if you are waiting for news, lots of rumors out there. Tommy, what do you think so far of the hype season that officially has not started, but the fan season has started?
You and I've talked. EA is so silent that somebody's going to fill that gap.
Mm.
And so a lot of the fans have started to do it,
Mm.
real or otherwise. There's a lot of rumors circulating. There's, a lot of information out there that there's no sources behind them or anything like that, but they just claim it to be true. And,
Mm.
who knows? So, I mean, we're getting closer and closer to the release date, or excuse me, to the information release.
Mm.
So it's, hopefully it all settles out here before
Mm.
too long. But at the same time, it is annoying from a fan perspective
Mm.
because you want to stay in tune, but there's nothing to really stay in tune officially for.
Some of the, like you said, when there's a void, somebody's going to fill that void. And sometimes that news comes in the form of leaks, information coming out a little bit earlier than it's intended. This is one that Wilburg18 tipped us off, so I want to give him credit on that. This image, courtesy of you, I've seen it often duplicated, never credited. On PlayStation, they put out alert back on May 21st. Join EA Play for just 99 cents. Unlock your first month. Feel the thrill of every Saturday in College Bowl 27 in the 10-hour trial coming July 7th, seemingly tipping off a July 7th release date. That has since been, as you said, it is now gone, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, it's no longer on the PlayStation, neither on the console or on the PlayStation app. Clearly, there's some credence to it. The timing obviously works out perfectly. It's about when you would expect it. It's more or less kind of an official source. That would be like the early release date, and then
Mhm.
release officially on that Friday, I'm sure.
And the
So
7th is a Tuesday for those wondering. Of course,
yeah,
that doesn't mean in
so
the past that usually is what Monday afternoon they came out at 3 o'clock, for example. I remember on 25 came out, 3 p.m. Central on a Monday. When can we expect game information? Nick Mazesco, kind of the voice of the Madden Championship Series and other esports thing through EA, confirms he's going to work with EA again this season. I think that was up in the air. He says they are changing up the way they do reveals this year, so get ready to see everything in early June. So we do have at least, we know something's coming in June. At what point? Early for you and I could be the first. For others, it might mean sometime in that first week. I think it is worth mentioning that, and you've probably seen this too. There's a lot of people saying, well, hey, EA never really put anything out until June anyway, which isn't quite accurate. And let's go back and look at the timelines for 25 and 26 briefly to show what EA did for 25 and 26. For those listening, we have basically a chart or timeline for everything that EA directly put out or maybe EA adjacent put out. I will not read through all those because that would take too long and be more boring than usual. But I will want to bring out 25 was a different beast, the game returning from that big hiatus. It started in February when with the teaser trailer and schools posting confirmation graphics. March, leaks from the cover shoot emerge and posters appear on college campuses. The big, official EA announcement came on May 16th when they revealed the 3 editions of the game and a release date. On the 17th of May, they put out a reveal trailer and a feature set. And on the 29th, we had a 12-day gap in there. That's when the college football media and some of the content creators who went to Orlando were able to share their impressions of the game. Gameplay deep dive video and blog on May 31st. That's everything that came out in the month of May for College Bowl 25. Then another big gap, which I'm not a fan of, went until June 12th, and even that was just GameStop announcing the homecoming pack, not really news from EA. And then June 25th is when we got that toughest places to play. Then things got wild and active. 25th, 26th, 27th, blogs, deep dives, information. July 2nd, the Dynasty deep diving video. Then the July 4th, a gap, which is understandable. And they kind of went strong up until release with the gameplay first look, Ultimate Team deep dive, top players, Road to Glory deep dive, Team Builder deep dive, and then the game launches. 26, a little different. Obviously, didn't have that 10-year hype that we had with 25. Began in March again with leaks emerging from the cover shoot. We speculated those leaks may have came from inside the house with EA wanting those put out there a little bit. April 11th was when Lowe's announced their College Bowl 26 sponsorship, that they were going to be in the game. Stadium Pulse sponsor, some Ultimate Team challenges with their name on it. The big one, though, is April 24th for 26th. EA announces 3 editions, a release date, and also a video entitled The Call, which kind of detailed the player that you could create in Road to Glory and export to Madden. Then was May 27th, the standard and deluxe edition covers revealed. May 28th, EA put out a reveal trailer and a feature set. So again, we have had a lot of stuff before June for the two titles. What was interesting then, all of a sudden, it was June 6th when the closed beta details were announced. That closed beta ran from June 6th through June 8th, and we'll talk about rumors on that for 27 here shortly. Then things really picked up towards the end of June. Got kind of almost too heavy in some regards. Gameplay on June 17th, presentation the 23rd. And then we have that. They always like to have a week devoted to college football where they put something out virtually every day. Presentation deep dive, Dynasty and Team Builder, toughest places to play, Road to Glory. Gameplay first look back on June 30th. The soundtrack went on Spotify on July 7th, and the game launched on July 10th. Tommy, any thoughts on those timelines?
Obviously, EA is going to do things differently every year. I mean, last year it happened the week of Memorial Day. This year, obviously, Memorial Day was kind of early, so I can kind of understand not doing it last week. But at the end of the day, it. I'm sure there's a specific reason why they're waiting until after June 1st.
What I think is interesting is that, and this is something the community we've seen enough and heard from enough people. Emails went out to a bunch of people about being, if they're in the EA playtest group, about joining an opportunity for an American football title. I've not seen it. I can't say I've seen it firsthand. We've had enough community members tell us that they signed up for wherever this opportunity is, and I believe the dates they were telling us and posting on X, for example, I believe June 5th through the 7th, give or take. Well, that kind of lines up with last year's closed beta of the 6th through the 8th of June. Now, I don't know. Does that mean we're going to get a closed beta with the game? Time wise, I would line up. The one thing that I don't know if it makes me hesitate or at least makes me wonder if EA is heading for a few potholes here is if you look back at that 26 timeline, for example, on May 28th, we had a reveal trailer and a brief feature set. Now, granted, they did not go in depth at anything, but at least people knew what they're getting into. If they're going to have a playtest event for those who are signed up, or even if it extends to a closed beta, are they asking for trouble if they don't put out information first so people know what they're looking for, know what's in the game versus just dropping it out there? It seems to me, it seems weird that you would go from radio silence to not all the game, but quite a bit. If it's like last year's closed beta, EA said that it contained online dynasty and Road to the Coach Bowl playoff. Well, you kind of see a lot of the game that way. I know things change in that final step. So does that indicate that maybe that first week if playtest also equals closed beta, does that mean this first week of June is going to be a lot of news quickly?
I mean, it's got to be at least a huge amount of at least kind of the reveal trailer and feature set like they did last year.
Mm.
But if they don't give a lot of detail early in the week, then people are going to you're going to start having leaks out of the beta. I mean, it happened last year,
Hmm.
people
It
obviously
will
their account gets
happen.
banned, but yeah,
Right.
it'll happen this year. And if they are the first people to release information, then that to me that's a bad look for EA and
Mhm.
you're not controlling the message at that point. So
Mhm.
I can't imagine if the beta starts, let's say, next Friday, I can't imagine that EA doesn't have information out by Monday, Tuesday or so.
Right.
It just, timing has to be there. To me, June 1st being Monday seems like a perfect date to start releasing information, but that's just my guess.
Quickly, we're going to revisit a topic that we had mentioned in the past. How several schools went to EA for a part of a career tour to learn about the game industry, how the game is made, maybe some things they can pursue down the line after football. What's interesting is Florida State, the Tallahassee ABC affiliate WTXL, kind of showed it behind the scenes, some footage. Unfortunately, I did not detect anything new or anything related to 27 exactly. There were two screen grabs that we were able to grab from that YouTube video. One, they were playing the game. It looked like they were playing 26 to me, unless the menus were not updated, but I think they were playing 26 at least at that time. And there was a screen of Madden. You and I talked about this privately. Couldn't quite figure out what it meant. The left side I know is a little difficult to read. It says franchise joint practice. And on the right side, it's basically, as you said, it's basically a draft board. So we weren't sure what exactly was going on at the time there. So we're very much open to community thoughts on what this might mean.
The only thing I'll add is on the left side, you also can read UCF Knights directly below that franchise joint
Mm.
practice. So it's almost like a targeted audience for the UCF Knights because they're there in person.
Mhm.
I can't imagine that this is a new feature that Madden is highlighting. I mean, as
Mhm.
far as I'm aware, it's never been in the past. I don't know what benefit it would be going forward, except for maybe the like the career mode, individual career mode, or something like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, it's pure speculation for us to say anything more, I think.
And I can't think that they would show these guys the nuts and bolts of the game. They're just too risking least getting out there. And if this is more about a career day, I can't think that they really showed them too much of either title. I'm not doubting that they did. They mentioned they played it. I believe on their X account, for example, they said they got to playtest CFB 27. So I believe that, but I just have a hard time believing that they would be shown the nuts and bolts of it.
And like you said, the screen grab is from definitely from CFB 26. It may just be that EA didn't have the art placeholders in place, and because they didn't want leaks of what it would look like, or maybe it's not final or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
instead, they just kept the artwork for, the same even in their beta test or something.
We talked about a lot of community rumors and leaks, and one source that I think is considered historically pretty accurate is MUTLeaks coming out and coming with several college football items over the past week or so. He says single leg sleeves and hanging mouthpieces, two of the most requested equipment pieces, are locked in for CFB 27. He would later go on in another tweet and says even more gear is coming. Appears they put quite a lot of work in on equipment this year. The reveal should be in 1 to 2 weeks out max as of the 21st when he put this tweet out. He says, we will not spoil all the surprises, but we do think you are going to be satisfied with the updates.
Yeah, I mean, like he said, it is probably the two, I guess at least the two most highlighted, especially this time last year, for things that were missing. Obviously, throughout the year, the helmet tilt and other, accessories and things like that, that obviously got a lot more attention as well. So,
Mm.
for those fans that are expecting that, hopefully it gives them what they want. I don't spend a ton of time there, but at the same time, I do like all the players to kind of have a unique look and feel. So,
Mm.
this brings them closer to that. So that's at least a good thing for my mind.
And today, as we record this, MUTLeaks put out the early look at the current coach and media rankings within College Bowl 27.
Yeah.
These are very much a work in progress given the time frame we are at. The thing that tipped off to me was seeing, I know you told me this and explain why North Dakota State listed it, 138 in the coaches and 137 in the media. There's no way they will be ranked that low. I don't know where they'll be. I would guess 60 to 80 at worst. So I very much take some of this with a grain of salt that I expect significant changes in these rankings before the game comes out.
Yeah. And I mean, again, at the end of the day, EA is not finalized these. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, there's not going to be a ton change between now and the first weekend of college football. But at the same time, this is probably one of the last things that EA puts in is the final rankings of the teams and things like that. So this is by no means final. They just tacked on NDSU and Sacramento State at the end, just to put them on the list. But again, if let's say this came from an official version of the game, like a beta copy or internal test or whatever it is, they're still not the final rankings.
mm.
So yeah, I wouldn't put any stock into this. There's going to be a ton of movement before the game actually releases.
It is, if it ends up being halfway accurate, Ohio State is number one in both those, Oregon number two. I don't know that I would expect Ohio State to be number one when the game comes out. I would think more than likely maybe a Notre Dame or a Texas, but I don't know. Ohio State's going to be loaded again, but they lost so much in the draft. I just can't see them being one out of the gate this year.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And then as well for Indiana to completely reload. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to have a bad year, but at the same time, I don't know. Are they supposed to be a top 10 team this year? I mean,
I think there was
I don't
Josh
know.
Hoover coming in, but like you said, they're unproven. They got the talented guys coming in through the portal, but they still got to do. They haven't. This group of guys hasn't done anything yet. But
Yeah,
when you have the last two seasons they've had, I think you get the benefit of the doubt.
for sure. I mean, Signetti will definitely whip them into
Mm,
shape. I have no
mm.
doubt about that. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Let's get into some more of the unverified rumors and information out there. I know there's been out there, so we want to bring it up in at least in some detail. I've not seen it firsthand in terms of where it was before it got deleted, but apparently there are some posts made on Reddit that have since been deleted. I don't think we want to get into the nuts and bolts of it because this could be nothing more than fan fiction. But do want to mention that there's a claims out there that the game is adding a, kind of a quasi NIL system, maybe a secondary point system in recruiting to go after players that you need to get the 4 and 5 star players, for example. Some of this is very vague of what they mention. They mentioned, the equipment coming in. It's just things that I think if you had to make an educated guess, you would guess a lot of these things would be in. What are your thoughts on this, Tommy?
I mean, I don't put a lot of stock into this. I mean, you could go out to ChatGPT and kind of spit in a few different things and have it fill it in. The other thing is, I saw this jump out at me in the middle of the screen. It says waist coaches. I'm assuming it's talking about weight coaches, like strength training coaches. I don't know. But it's again, I don't put any stock into any of this. There's no reason to think that somebody's going to go out there and start posting legitimate information that, you know, they're not going to post it on Reddit. I mean, to me, of all places, Reddit is not a place to get infamy or anything like that. It's just a place to make, I guess, troll posts or however you want to call it. But to me, I don't put any stock into this stuff. I'm not saying none of it'll be in there. I'm just saying it's not the person who posted this. I really don't think that they have any insider information.
I The community thought on the waist coaches, and I don't know how you get this. They think they mean like the quarterback uh wristbands, except the one where it's on the waist. Like some of the defensive players tend to have that on their waist. That was the belief of what that meant. But he singles out and says this is pretty neat.
Yeah,
I don't
like
think
what
having
does
that
that
there would
even
because
mean?
that's and there's some other verbiage in there. I mean, I'm not going to tell the author how to write his stuff, but you would think even if this was a somebody who went to a playtest event, for example, they would have like the exact verbiage for what this new system is called because EA would drill that in their head, asking, "What did you think of this
Waste
feature?"
coaches.
Yes. What did you think of this? What did you think of this? They would not. It would not be this vague.
Yeah,
That's why it's stuff that by itself I wouldn't doubt is in the game, but I don't know that I trust this necessarily. Um,
right.
it mentions the Heisman ceremony, so that's spread around social media that might be in the game. Well, we saw that 25, they put out that pre-release screenshot of the trophy in game. So they've had something in the works there, potentially for at least 2 years or more.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think those things will get in the game eventually, whether or not it's 27 or not. You know, it's again, I hate seeing these kind of things because again, somebody's going to fill that void, and this
Mhm.
is a perfect case of that in my mind.
Mm.
Everybody's hungry for any kind of information on the game, so they'll put any kind of stock, even just a 5% chance that all of this is real. They'll
Mm.
still put stock into it and hope that it's all real
I'm not sure
because they have nothing else to rely on at this point.
like you said, Reddit wouldn't be the place for this. You think they just make an X account.
Right. Or leak it to one of the um, you know, dedicated X accounts that are already posting information and that already post rumors that, rumors are saying or whatever.
Mhm.
Why would they not do that in the same fashion? Reddit, I've never paid attention to the name of a Reddit poster in terms of are they valid or not.
Right.
So to try to get, any kind of infamy or anything like that, Reddit's not the place to do it in my mind.
No, I don't know if there's just the same person, a different person again. Another post that was there and deleted.
Yeah, again, it's all speculation. I'd be surprised if there's a ton of stuff for NIL just because it's so, you know,
Ever
it's such a
changing.
wild west territory in real life that I don't think EA would want to really put the monetary dollar figures on an NIL game in my mind.
What's interesting is that these people, or maybe it's the same person, they're claiming that it's not NIL and it's not, the unit is not money. They don't say what the name is. They don't say what the unit is. So, I mean, if it ends up being true, I can see why EA very much did it that way. But then the fact that these people are not saying, well, okay, then what is it called? What are these units? Makes me question if it's legit. Something with that, I think it's been speculated before. MUTLeaks had mentioned there may be a college football mobile coming this year. Well, Tubby CFB, he gets all the leaks. He's the preferred leaker of choice. Um, I'm not going to share the images because on his account on X, he got hit with a request to remove them in response to a report from the copyright holder. But there were 4 screenshots of college football mobile with Indiana and Miami playing and one of the game loading. Uh, what's interesting is that this maybe have nothing quite to do with the subject exactly, but it's interesting that those get struck down, but the stuff that MUTLeaks puts out does not get struck down, which I think furthers my theory that I've mentioned weeks ago on the show that I think MUTLeaks is somebody at EA. Like it's somebody halfway approved through EA to be putting out information.
Right, right.
Because he doesn't
Yeah.
get hit with those.
Yeah, I mean it's curious. Obviously, it's kind of a guerrilla marketing technique to do
Mhm.
that, to where it's an unofficial account. It's just like you had the host that said that news is coming out June 1st. Well, no official EA account has said anything about news coming out or June 1st or whatever. He said early June,
Right,
I think. So no official account has said that, but they can kind of skirt it by saying, we didn't say it. He said that. I mean,
right.
you know what I mean. But as far as the mobile leak, I think we've talked about it before. Don't expect this to be tying into the console version of the game.
Mm.
Expect this basically to be an ultimate team for your mobile phone.
A second
Um,
Ultimate Team.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
It's not going to have, ways to manage your online dynasty from your console to your phone or anything like that. That's not what this is.
Mm.
So, again, I think it's just targeted to a different audience or maybe expanding some of the audience that
Mm.
has it on the console and they want to be able to play it on the go as well.
And see, Madden has what they call a companion app, plus they have Madden Mobile. And MuttLeaks was the one who said that this would be a reskin of basically of Madden Mobile, it's not
Yeah.
the companion app. So with that, we'll wrap up this edition of the Gaming Tailgate Podcast. Tommy, theoretically, if we're talking early June, we're just days away, or maybe a week or two, from some real game info, and I'm ready for it. This is to me this. I said this to you guys in private. This is the best and worst time of the year. The best because when news starts coming out, that's great. But worst, there's so many rumors and so many things unclear that I get sick of it by the time that the rumors and reportedly's reign supreme.
Yeah, and it's like you don't know what to trust and what not to trust. I mean, I could start posting something every day that it's a rumor and it have zero merit to it,
And
and
it would get
somebody's going to
traction
take that and
somewhere.
yeah, yeah, somebody's going to take that and run with it
Mm.
and say, "Oh, he said that." But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm ready for real information to come out. You know,
Mm.
EA said that they're going to kind of, or supposedly they're going to start trying to the way they launch these games is going to be a little bit different. So I'm curious if this year actually shows that, or if it's something next year that you start to see a little bit more information come out sooner or
Mm.
something like that. One of the thing I'll say is that with being a public company, one of the biggest frustration things that fans always wanted is they wanted to hear more information in February, March, or whatever. And
Mm.
the challenge there is, as a publicly traded company, any information you release, it basically has to come true. So if you were planning on a feature in February, March, and it gets removed in April, May,
Mm.
you can't announce that feature until it's officially there. So
Right.
as a publicly traded company, but as a privately traded company, you don't have really those rules. You can start talking about, hey, we're thinking about this, and
Mm.
hey, we want to do that, and send us your information for what you think or whatever. They can be a lot more open, and
Mm.
I'm not saying they will be, but
Right. Don't get too
it,
bold
it,
there.
exactly, yeah. But no, at the same time, the rules are different. So who knows, what the marketing will look like, fast forward a year from now.
Maybe we'll get a roadmap. That sounds like what you want. For Tommy, I'm CDJ. Everyone, thank you for watching and listening to this edition of the Gaming Tailgate Podcast.